I think that as I continue this video, that's a distraction that doesn't serve us. It's a boogeyman that you allow the volume to be high. See, the mind only has so much time and only has so much attention and focus. So now imagine you got two radios playing, different decibels, same decibels. One is playing country music, the other is playing well, let's just say this. One is playing music that is, traditional for Kenya. One is playing music that is traditional in the Congo. Okay? You want to listen to the Congolese music. So what you got to do? For you to actually get the enjoyment out of it, you're going to have to turn the decibels up or turn the other one down, the Kenyan music down. Okay? Because your mind can only process so much. So my suggestion as a social design tutorial is that in your own mind and in the mind of the community, let's find a new boogeyman, okay? Let's find a different boogeyman other than the European. Yes, it is a problem when we understand the science of things, not because, we want to perpetrate harm on this person who is already in fear, which is why he does what he does, all right? But for the simple fact, it's going to serve us to do so. If we create, and create a boogeyman that will take our focus off of what he's doing so that our progress is more easily met. When you already have a trauma, you will talk a lot. See, y'all could probably vouch for this. If you have experienced something traumatic, somebody injured or hurt you, you might go into depression. You might not talk at all. You might want to self-inflict self-pain or whatever. Or you might just do a lot of talking, but really your actions are half-stepping because you may have some fear about a consequence from that particular arch rival, if that's how you perceive it. So if you have that arch rival, but you put your focus on a whole different boogeyman, what happens is you get yourself into a new flow. At the end of the day, you ever notice how people who get murdered by this government is because they come up against this government? See, it's a magnetic force. So, show and prove. And there's other reasons, yes, for sure. But when you need everybody, specifically you Nubian folks, you need everybody to be on the same page. And if you get everybody on the same page and everybody's in a similar flow, that's got power that cannot be usurped. All right? And so creating a different boogeyman takes away any pain associated with your progress. If we have a boogeyman, a boogie lady, a boogie thing, a boogie it that inspires us to progress, it moves us to action, but it does not, it does not incite our fears. Maybe it incites our passions, etc., etc. Then that's going to be good for us. And I'll give you a quick example before I shut down this video. I remember, I've gone through some things in the last couple of years, and pertaining to things I wish not to speak of. And but I'm sure I got some videos out where I speak of it. But it's quite interesting, that I sort of had to go through what I've gone through to kind of get this perspective that I have now. which is that, you know, the things that trouble you most take the joy out of the experience and will not, but if you want to maximize a particular experience, you got to keep it sort of in stasis, meaning you cannot, you can't molest a child and then expect the child to grow up the same, because particularly if the child interpreted it as a traumatic experience, because now it's just like, you get what I'm saying? So I remember I was in Tahoe years ago, and I was just really enjoying it. It's beautiful, right? It was snow. You got the lakes. You got big, beautiful homes, $1 million homes. Just beautiful, sitting on the lake, big open spaces, big glass. And I remember thinking, man, I would love to live here. But really, my double analytical mind was like, really? It seemed cool right now because you're just visiting. But let's think about this. They don't have a lot of jobs there. Now, this is it. This was before, the internet is what it is today. And, you could be you can have a business at home and anywhere in this world. You can move to Africa and have you a business on the internet and make money and do well. So this was different at that time. It wasn't like it is today. But I remember thinking to myself, shoot, the only business you could really get into and you might, do all right is if you're in real estate or something. You know what I mean? If if you list in some $1 million properties, but I was like, there's not a lot of jobs here. You work at the casino or you work at the lifts, And I thought to myself, man, or it dawned on me that a place is always beautiful until or unless you have some souring experiences that you would associate to that place. Once you have a sour experience that gets anchored into that whole experience, the volume goes up on that sour experience, and then it's harder to see the beauty, because you might the trauma, you might think that something is lurking. You might feel, and this is just, I'm not putting this on anybody. I'm just saying this is a possibility that you would anchor, and have an experience that triggers that traumatic event. And so, interestingly enough, I sort of had that thought before I moved here, and I hadn't had the traumatic experiences of being abducted by people in uniform many, many times before, you know what I'm saying, within a short period of window of time. And I remember thinking about this place even before that occurred, that, that thought had come back to me, that thought of Tahoe would come back to me when I moved in here, that, this place is beautiful, but any place could become ugly if you begin, and you could be blind to the beauty that's before you and the opportunities, because now you might start half stepping because you perceive certain threats or dangers, let's just say. And I'm just saying. And so all of that has taught me, this whole experience has taught me that if you could put your focus on a boogeyman who has not injured you, you see what I'm saying? It's a potential threat, but it has not injured you. That means that there's no pain associated. It's not anchored in the same way. I want to say this real quick, and I'm going to cut this off. Once this video got cut off, my whole train of thought was a bit messed off, but we're going to maximize something else. We have national parks, but folks have no place to live. When they are disenfranchised. But folks have no place to live when they're disenfranchised. Think how arcane that is. Think of how arcane that is. We have startup accelerators. Okay, let me go back. Think of how arcane that is. We should and we shall have to hibernate. We should have ecosystems where people can go and hibernate and inculcate and redeem themselves. To have the homelessness and things of this nature it means that we have not perfected the economy. And so to be all focused on capitalism, and you're starting your little startup, your 500 startups and your angel pad, and, you know, or you got your Bitcoin, venture capital group. People need a place sometimes to hibernate so that they can accelerate, so that we can find new purpose for them. And so it just seems really odd that we have these national parks. We saying that we value this open space, right? Nature. But we haven't put this price tag on how we value other people as a contributor to, the flowering of our existence. We have startup accelerators. So when shall we have Kickstarter ecosystems? That have none of the modern bureaucratic redlining. That have none of the bureaucratic redlining. It just seems to me a place for people to go, quote unquote, offer it. Because one of the things I notice about Africa, people over there succeeding and doing really well, is that because there's not all this red tape, they're able to be industrious in trade, and they're able to just make magic happen. They don't have the red tape. And that's how, when the United States Federal Corporation was getting its footing, let's say 150 years ago, the image that I have burned into my brain is that that's how it was, that they didn't have so much red tape, so a man could get out and he could make something happen. Well, I've been that man where I've made my own ice creams and tried to sell them on the streets of San Francisco, and had cops come upon me and say, well, you can't be here, you have to leave. Or I'm out trying to sell juice and I can't get it in the store. They tell me you got to have labels. And I'm just like, man, I want to do everything. I want to do everything and be up and up if I can. But when you cannot and you got to hustle, you can't be dealing with that bullshit red tape. That's the thing that gets you bound. It's the thing that really disenfranchises you when you don't have the economies of scale to be able to approach the system, or to find yourself integrated into it. You feel me? So in Africa, you can succeed because they don't have that. They have to create every solution that you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, they just create it. And so we need that, especially the Nubians. This would be something I would hope you begin to understand, is that we need to have that where, I think the camera's going to cut off, but where we don't fit into this current economic paradigm. That's like when I used to ride motorcycles, you're not supposed to try and keep up with a guy who goes faster than you, because you're going to crash. That's a principle. A principle in anything is a principle in everything. You don't keep up with the guy who's a better rider than you, because you're going to crash. So why are you trying to keep up with a system where blind nepotism is quite prevalent? Education is poor, food is poor, police misconduct, causes people to stumble, you see, and can create other issues, right? Unwarranted. When you have all these different elements of the ecosystem, that's when you got to go, man, we got to just separate. It's not about we're moving backwards. No, it's about we cannot be trying to keep up with a dude on a R1 and we got a 250. You understand what I'm saying? And he a pro and he got all his leathers on and the boots and the helmet and the backpack. The shit looks real sweet. You see what I'm saying? And we over here on a tricycle with training wheels. Like, come on. You trying to keep up to something, so you need to be able to inculcate. And so this is why I'm very, you heard it here first. That's why I'm very pro-Nubian, support Nubian, everything. I'm very dogmatic in that way. And it's not out of ignorance, it's out of intelligence. It's out of putting together the puzzle and going, well, I see the fucking puzzle. What we've been doing ain't been working. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to be rogue about your shit. And that's what I'm here for, to give you the tools to make this thing click. Giga speed.